everyone. This is Robert Aldana. I want to welcome you to another Sunday Conversation. I am really proud and pleased to present to you today some community leaders, and we're going to be talking about, April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. It's a month where we raise the awareness about the importance of preventing child abuse and much, much more. I have a few community leaders with us here today. We have Maria Barranco with Monarch Services, which is Servicios Monarcos. We also have Stephanie Barron Lu with Positive Discipline. How are you doing, Stephanie?
Good. Thank you so much for having us here.
Glad to have you. And we've heard of Monarch Services before. It is an organization that's been around for a long, long time. I would love it if you shared with us, what is Monarch Services and what does it do?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me join. I'm very honored to be here today. Monarch Services is an organization that has been in service for 47 years. We have been serving the community, specifically survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. It is important to note that we have various services that are very essential for our whole community. One of the main things in our mission is lives free from violence and abuse. We are invested in ensuring that we provide comprehensive and holistic services to all survivors of violence. And we want to make sure that we're meeting their needs, that we're meeting them where they're at. Some of our services is that we are the only confidential shelter in Santa Cruz County. Mm-hmm. We are the only rape crisis center in Santa Cruz County. We also have the only 24-hour crisis and support line for survivors of violence. And we have other services such as crisis intervention, where we can provide case management. We can provide support groups to survivors, as well as we have our prevention program. Within our prevention program, we are very aware of the needs of our community, especially of our youth. And so therefore, our focus is to make sure that we are focusing on preventing child abuse to the core, right? Mm-hmm. And we're always invested in making sure that violence is prevented before it happens. And with that said, we also are very excited to say that we have an amazing program called Positive Solutions. Positive Solutions is one of our programs that is now providing services to those who cause harm. Monarch Services, it's very aware about the fact that in order for violence to end, we must target the whole family. We must work with those who are causing harm. Unfortunately, to say, survivors are going to go back to situations, right? And that person who caused harm is going to have other relationships. And the children are witnessing violence. So therefore, we're trying to stop that cycle before it continues. And with that is our Positive Solutions program. Our programs are very comprehensive. Aside from all these programs, we also have our 24-hour response to our sexual assault, where our advocates are able to respond to those who have been sexually assaulted by being there with them and providing them support during a sexual assault examination. Gotcha. That's just a brief in regards to what Monarch provides.
Excellent work, by the way. Thank you. That was a great explanation. And whenever there are survivors or people seeking assistance, there's this unfair and unfounded stigma that exists. What advice or insight can you share for adults and families to shift from shame and embarrassment towards feeling empowered in accessing resources?
That's a great question. And first off and foremost, I have to share that unfortunately, trauma can cause shame. And we've seen this through the survivors that come and receive services, right? They are shamed of just seeking the services itself. And where is this coming from? Is derived from the abuse, the power and control that was imposed on them. Yes. And so therefore, now they're feeling, I'm not deserving of this service, right? In addition, I think that it's our community too, unfortunately to say, right? Us as a society have really imposed this on everyone. And this is exactly why many of our survivors will specifically feel that shame. Yet, it is important for us to make sure that we are hearing them, that we're understanding them, asking them directly, what is the cause of that same shame, right? What is the core? What is the root causes of?
Because there shouldn't be that shame, right?
Exactly.
And I would have to think, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but I would have to think that shame that stigma, because it's a stigma and it's a very unfair stigma, is keeping a lot of people from not contacting resources like yourself. Would you agree?
I would agree completely. And that's exactly what, we as providers need to first and foremost ask those who are seeking services. Yeah. What prevents you from seeking those services, right? And also, is it accessibility? Many times it's actually the accessibility, the fact that I wasn't aware, I don't have the accessible resources. I mean, there's just so many different factors on why. But how can we work towards that shame is encouraging, reassuring, any of us can access those services. And that also is us as providers, right? We shouldn't feel shame if we feel that we're struggling with anything, not necessarily just with Monarch Services and demystifying sexual assault. But we were having a conversation about parenting, right? Nobody was born as a parent, learning or with a guide on how to be best parents. So I think what's important is hearing those who are seeking services and encouraging everyone. Services are there for a reason, and that is for you to access. Take advantage. Right now, with the situation, it is not an easy situation, right?
Right.
So just encouraging them.
Stephanie?
And really, I think to that point, the pieces that we feel so vulnerable about, that we feel such isolation from, those are the things that stigma can keep us disconnected from seeking support, from being vulnerable and having that brave conversation. And so that's really what our hope is with Child Abuse Prevention Month, is that we're looking at what is it that I can do in my head, in my heart, with the tools that I have accessible to me, such as a school counselor or, a resource center, being able to call 211 and, just starting to kind of peel back the layers that it isn't for, those people. And you're thinking of like anyone but me, but my family, right? Like, keeping this facade of, the perfect nuclear family. And really that, whether it's you're struggling with addiction or you're struggling with domestic violence or you're struggling with parenting or access to food or access to, to just a healthy living environment, right? That there is no problem that doesn't have a solution. Just don't give up, that we're able to build a better future together in our homes, our schools, and our societies if we're able to have that brave conversation and really, just harness people power. Who do you have in your network? Who is in, that protective social, factor that we can have by just asking for help?
Many times when we talk about spousal abuse, child abuse is tied into spousal abuse, whether it's directly or indirectly. If there's spousal abuse, the children get to see it. And a lot of times people say, well, they didn't do anything to the children. Yes, they did. Emotional is just as damaging as physical abuse. You want to comment on that?
Yeah. Through the cases that we see here at Monarch, children are not always have to be present to see and understand and feel the fact that there's tension in their homes, right?
For sure.
And so that is the exposure of that emotional abuse. In addition to, unfortunately to say, many families or many parents are having arguments in the middle of the night when children are asleep. They're aware. Children are aware. They are presencing this. And it's important for us to recognize that these type of situations are going to impact them as they are growing, right? And it becomes more of a cycle.
How is your program part of building a hopeful future together?
Well, Monarch Services is working, is very invested in providing services in a very holistic way, working with the whole family, ensuring that we're not just focusing on one person, but rather the whole family to address the violence itself, but also to address all the different factors, to address what's causing the violence, what can we prevent, and looking at ways that we can support survivors, right? So a couple things that we're doing right now that I can share, and I can talk for hours about what we're doing.
Absolutely.
However, we want to make sure that we're meeting our survivors where they're at.
Yes. That
we're not creating barriers, first off, that it's because many times, many organizations build more barriers than removing those barriers. So one is not creating barriers. We want to make sure we're serving survivors where they're at. We go and meet with them.
Yeah.
For example, we have a program called Campo Seguros. We go and meet with them at the fields. We go and meet with them at the different, outreach events if needed. We go, if a survivor is unable to come to our office to meet with any of our case managers, we schedule, go meet with them at a different organization.
Sure.
We also try to work around our office schedules to make sure that if a survivor, because they work long hours, they're unable to meet, one of our case managers during office hours, we will meet with them after hours. And then, of course, also, as I mentioned, we have our Positive Solutions program that is invested in ensuring that we are focusing on those who cause harm to be very holistic and hoping that we can end violence.
Such great information. Thank you so much. I feel honored to have you here. Is there anything else that you would like to add before we close up here?
We're a community. What I can say is we are a community, and we should all continue to work collaboratively to serve our community. And then, of course, also not to be afraid and not to be ashamed of seeking those services. That includes us. That includes myself. Again, I think it is very important for us to really see that as a collaborative, we can make a difference.
Excellent. Stephanie?
I think just the last piece is, I'm hopeful that we can help to demystify for some of our viewers.
For sure.
What is it like to reach out to Monarch Services if they call the hotline or if they walk into, what can they expect to happen?
Yes. Thank you for asking that. Monarch Services is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with our 24-hour and support line. What can they expect? They're going to be greeted by first off, by an operator, and then advocates who are well-trained to provide them with the support that they need. Everyone who answers our crisis support line is bilingual, bicultural. And again, survivors or anyone who calls our crisis line is able to request to be anonymous. Or not be anonymous as well. All of the information is confidential. And also, if survivors don't feel comfortable contacting us through our crisis support line, they can go during office hours, do a walk-in, and request to work with or speak with an advocate directly, for sure. Mm-hmm. All of our services are free, are available. We are 24/7, so that's important to note. Yes. So please just note that you can call at any time, including just to ask any questions. If it's a simple question, we are there to support.
Excellent. And spousal abuse encompasses all genders.
Correct.
So it's important that we make that very clear because, there's no borders to where it's not going to cross. It crosses all boundaries. And it's important that everybody knows that there's assistance and help for everyone.
Yes. So Monarch Services serves all survivors of violence, regardless of gender, race. And again, we have bilingual staff, bicultural staff. All of our services are free. And we want to make sure that we are not creating any barriers. So if there are any barriers or if there's any accessibility challenges, please make sure that you're still contacting us and also that you're communicating directly with Monarch leadership. If that's the case, we want to make sure that we are there for everyone who needs the support.
Maria Barranco with Monarch Services, and we have Stephanie Barron Lu with Positive Discipline. Thank you both for being here today.
Thank you. Right. Thank you for having us here.
And thank you for watching, folks. We have their website right here. If you would like to get more information, we're honored to have them here, and I know their doors are always open. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Sunday Conversation. I am Robert Aldana, your host, along with my co-host, happens to be Stephanie Barron Lu with the Children's Network. How you doing, Stephanie?
So great. Thank you again for having us here, Rob.
Happy to have you. And also with us, we have Julie Masisovic, who happens to be with the Walnut Avenue Family and Women's Center. And I'm super excited to hear more about your organization and some of the great things that you guys are doing, and also some of the discussions that I think should be had because they're important, right? They're absolutely important. So paint us a picture, Julie, if you may. What can people expect when reaching out to the Walnut Avenue Center? What does that organization consist of?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me.
Sure.
I'm thrilled to be here. Walnut Avenue Family and Women's Center has been around for 90 years. So we opened as a YWCA in 1933. So we've been doing youth empowerment services for 90 years. We also provide subsidized early education in a little center up behind Santa Cruz High School. We have our domestic violence programs, which we started doing in the 90s. So we provide comprehensive services for survivors of domestic violence and associated wraparound family support services as well. So you can either call our hotline, call our office number, or walk in. We're located in downtown Santa Cruz. And we really try to create a home-like atmosphere. So you will show up, you'll be greeted at the door. You will come into what looks and feels like a living room. It still has the original piano from the owners of the house that we purchased. And just really want to welcome you into a comfortable situation, and then find out what's going on with you, with your family, and try and connect you with the services to support you.
And so language access is so important, and it's often a barrier in seeking resources. Could you tell us a little bit about how Walnut Avenue has mitigated or addressed some of those barriers?
Absolutely, yes. So we have a 24-hour hotline. It is bilingual Spanish. Also, when you come to our business office in Santa Cruz, all of our services, all of our paperwork, everything is also provided in Spanish. So we, if there are languages we do not currently have translated into, we have a collaboration with the language line to provide interpretation in any language that is necessary.
Well, that's so important. Thank you so much, Julie.
I love what you say and how you go about it. Whereas there's a lot of fear and trauma that a lot of the victims are going through. It's very intimidating, I have to imagine, right? Being able to let them in as if they're coming into another home. You know, we talked about this in the past about, having a cup of tea or a cup of coffee to make them feel like they are at home. You mentioned on a previous conversation, and I love what you said. You said, "Come as you are, we will meet you where you are." What advice or insight can you share for adults and families to shift from shame and embarrassment towards feeling empowered in accessing resources? Because there is that stigma, and it's an unfair stigma, and it's an unfounded stigma. But a lot of it, like we talked about earlier, a lot of it is trauma. A lot of it is, just being scared. I mean, there's no other better word. I mean, a lot of the victims are scared the moment they walk in that door. How would you empower them?
Yes. And when we're talking about some of the most intimate details of your life and your family, it is not easy to reach out for help. So I like to share, just to normalize it, that I've been working with children for 30 years, and I'm a licensed psychologist, and parenting is the hardest job that I have ever done. And so you're not alone. Parenting is difficult. And we only get one, for most of us, you get one model of parenting, and that is not always the best parenting that's out there. So you get what you got in your home life, right? If you're lucky enough to have aunties and uncles and extended family, you get to see that. But for the most part, you're not taught parenting skills in school. You're not getting that education elsewhere. So you're doing the best that you can. So I want to say that it's hard, that you're not alone, that domestic violence and child abuse does not discriminate based on socioeconomic class, based on culture, based on age,
gender. It's all, yeah.
Absolutely. So if you want support, if you need support, if you're not feeling great about how it's feeling at home, please call our hotline, walk in to our door Monday through Friday. And if we can't serve you there, we will refer you to one of the other amazing programs around Santa Cruz County that is designed specifically for your needs.
And Julie, it isn't also something that's specific to only, families that have little ones. It's something that you're also supporting teens and youth, right? Could you speak a little bit to how can service providers or educators or, other community leaders really benefit from what Walnut Avenue has to offer?
Yes, thank you. we really look at, if we truly want to end domestic violence, that we see the youth as the opportunity to stop the next generation, right? So if you've experienced it, if violence is normalized in your childhood, then you may then replicate those experiences when you get into your first relationship or when you are parenting. And so a lot of our programs are focused on youth, giving youth the opportunity if they are experiencing what we call teen dating violence. So that awareness month was February last month. If you're experiencing relationships in high school and in middle school, and that often happens, that's when we want to intervene before it cycles into the next generation of families. And so we do provide support groups. We have, right now, we have a peer support group going on for professionals who, in the line of their work, are encountering families with domestic violence, but maybe they don't have that specialty. We have a group for that. And so we have some of our home visiting nurses that are coming to that. And so it is a very specialized population to work with, and it can be a very dangerous population to work with. People, friends, family that are very well-meaning and want to support can cause more harm than good. So I do recommend, we're fortunate enough to have 2 hotlines in this community, Monarch Services and Walnut Avenue. Do call, ask for help, talk to a certified advocate about how can I support my friend or family member that is experiencing this abuse. And that is what we're here for. And we want to support you.
And so if there is just one piece of advice that someone, like you said, that doesn't want to cause more harm than good, and I know as a state of California, we're really trying to move away from the mandated reporting to more community supporting. And so is there a piece of advice that you can share to whether it's an educator or a service provider or even a family member that is just needing to know a better way of being able to offer support?
Mm-hmm. I think that listening is the number one thing that you can do, and letting people know, I'm concerned that you're feeling pain. I'm concerned that you're being hurt. How can I help? And let that survivor lead the way. It's about empowering people. If we want to reduce stigma and shame, it's about not making somebody feel bad. People feel like there's something wrong with me. Why am I in this situation?
Or it's my fault.
Or it's my fault in some way, right? And so it's really about listening, believing, and asking them for how's the best way that you can help them or be there for them.
And really not giving up, right? Sometimes you've
Yes.
asked for help and it wasn't the right season in your life and you're going back to maybe a negligent or abusive situation. We do the best we can with the tools we have. And so organizations like yours are there without judgment to just really hold their hand through navigating a really difficult and vulnerable process. So thank you so much for your work, Julie.
Yes, thank you. We will also go to court with you. Should you want to take that route, we will help you fill out restraining orders. We will accompany you to court. So that support is there.
Many people don't know about. And so thank you for helping to demystify what navigating this process could look like and reaching out to Walnut Avenue.
You are truly a powerful ally for those in need. The navigating the fears of just getting there and getting the help is just one of the steps. What you just talked about right now, and we'll help you, meaning your organization will help them fill out the paperwork, get restraining orders. Those are very also intimidating steps that must be taken. And I appreciate what you do over there because, it's huge.
Yes. And not all families, obviously there are challenges with reaching out to law enforcement. I think I might have said before, only 56% of domestic violence incidents are ever reported. So the majority of folks, or a lot of folks, are never even reporting. And that can be a fear of law enforcement. It could be a fear of having your children taken away. And that's this community supporting idea, right? We don't want children to be removed from their parents. That is the last thing that we want. If there is serious harm, that is sometimes called for. In most situations, family just needs support. And there is support out there. Santa Cruz has that support.
And child abuse comes in many forms. It doesn't just come directly, but it's also indirectly. A lot of times people will say, well, it didn't affect the child. This was a situation between the husband and the wife or the father and the mother. But it does affect the child. Child abuse, whether it's mental or physical, is abuse. They go through the motions of the pain when they have to see their father, their mother go through that type of abuse.
And that trauma lives in your body sometimes for the rest of your life if you're
Mm-hmm.
not able to work through that. And so many people don't realize that just witnessing or even being in your bed while domestic violence is happening in the other room, that is considered child abuse. And so it's a very difficult line in trying to just want to support families and not create a sense of fear that your child will be taken away.
Stephanie, my co-host with the Children's Network, tell me about positive discipline and what that means.
Thank you so much for asking what it means. I think that's such a huge piece. So, positive discipline in itself is a parenting curriculum, a philosophy. It is part of a global movement for transforming lives through respectful relationships. Here, as a local nonprofit since 2009, so we're coming up on our 15-year anniversary in 2024.
That's amazing.
And so a big part for us is that we see this as so much more than a parenting approach. So we envision relationships based on mutual respect and dignity, leading to healthier, safer, and more just societies. And so a little bit about what we do is that we offer evidence-based classes, parenting-based support groups, play groups, one-on-one parent coaching, and coaching for caregivers, training resources, and other programs for families, schools, and community service providers. And we're now able to do so 100% free for families in 3 languages that are prevalent to our Bajaro Valley. So that's English, Spanish, and the indigenous Oaxacan language, Mixteco. And so we're so proud and honored that we're able to partner with so many of the amazing community leaders that are a part of this series, as parenting is so humbling. And it is through those moments of just such isolation of feeling like I'm a bad mother or I'm a bad caregiver. And what really kept me at positive discipline is I came to this work when I myself was a struggling student parent. And so, you can take as many child development workshops as you can. And when it gets to your child, there's something about your default parenting or parenting from a place of urgency that can lend to child abuse, that can lend to physical pain or emotional pain, or, the removal of privileges or the disconnection of using, timeouts or corporal punishments, right? And so positive discipline is a way of parenting that is not permissive, and it's also not punitive. So what does that leave us with? It's being kind and firm. The kindness is in saying, I care about our relationship and our connection. And the firmness is, I care about what the situation needs. So it is my job to keep you safe and to have those boundaries. So it's love and limits. And that's effective, right? And so if we're able to parent from a place of love and effectiveness, like that's what we want. And oftentimes that isn't something that's accessible. And so I'm so proud to lead this organization as their executive director and to really just be of, by, and for my community as also a workforce development agency that's supporting our next round of educators, trainers, service providers to be able to really take this approach into all areas.
Excellent explanation, because discipline and positive are not always in the same sentence, but I get what you're saying. I think you explained that beautifully. So I'm sure everybody, all of our viewers and listeners, whether you're listening on a podcast or watching via video, will understand what that means. And the last question I have is, how is your program a part of building a hopeful future together?
And if I could share with positive discipline. So discipline really means to guide, to nurture, to teach, to connect. And so the way that we're building back a brighter future together, and the way that we're really lifting up our community in the process, is in seeing that oftentimes we lack the social and life skills that we need to have respectful communication, to have a solutions-oriented way of being in relationship as adults and children. And so really just shoring up compassion for ourselves so that we're not pouring from that empty cup, and able to model those skills for our children. So we're not just worried about stopping a specific behavior, but really looking at what is the belief behind the behavior and how do we mitigate the series of discouragement that really happens.
Thank you so much.
And I can add to that, because one of the things I was thinking was, you said our relationship is important. Also, who you are as an adult is important to me. So the discipline that I use with my child today is developing the type of parent, the type of dating partner, the type of friend that this child is going to be in the future. And so positive discipline and intervening early with child abuse and dating violence and even domestic violence if you witnessed it as a child. So to answer your question, it's a holistic perspective. It's a whole family perspective.
Yeah.
It is about destigmatizing this idea that my family is supposed to be perfect and asking for help is wrong, is bad. There's shame associated. We all need parenting support. We all need relationship support. Relationships are hard. And so getting that peer support, getting that family support for yourself and your family is such a gift to the community as well as to your family.
And it's as you mentioned, right? Like these struggles feel like they're very vulnerable for us to be able to talk about in the first person. And it's what unites us as a society, as a community, that parenting is hard work and it's heart work. And so being able to not feel alone and know that you can go to Positive Discipline or you can go to Walnut Avenue or any one of the resources that we're highlighting, and to just feel that sense of compassion and dignity and know that I won't be demonized as a mother for seeking support is huge.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So the last question I have is, how is your program a part of building a hopeful future together?
Well, I hope that we are preventing the next generation from recycling the trauma that they learned in their family. By providing supportive services for young people, we're saying, come in, be who you are. Don't be embarrassed about it. Tell us what you're grappling with. Learn skills about healthy relationships, learn skills about healthy parenting, and impact the generation of the future going forward. So we really try to address a whole family approach, which is also a whole community approach. You're not alone. Parents and families need support. Young people need support. And there are programs out there designed to support you with your needs.
And
Excellent.
seeking help is your superpower, right? That's what I really hope that families can take away is that, you know what, by being curious about what is not working right now and how can I access help? And let's just maintain that curious, childlike curiosity of, you know what, this doesn't feel good and I'm feeling I need support. And so just being vulnerable and asking for help, whether it's to your school, your law enforcement officer, you know, just really destigmatizing who is meant to be here for you and who is able to connect you.
And it is never too late. If you are a grandparent and you're realizing like, oh, okay, you find yourself caring for your grandchildren, it is never too late. When you realize it and you're open to it, ask for help.
Thank you. Thank you both. Thank you, Stephanie Barron Lu, my co-host with the Children's Network, for all the work that you do. And thank you, Julie Masesovic, with the Walnut Avenue Family and Women's Center, for all that you do. It's amazing to know that your organization has been around for over 90 years. That's incredible. Like I would have, you know, that's unbelievable. But thank you and everyone at the Walnut Center for all that you do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rob, for helping to, you know, make sure that we're having access and awareness, and to the Children's Network and to United Way and to our partners that are part of the Child and Youth Wellbeing Cabinet. This is a collaborative patchwork. And so we can all do our part in our hearts, our homes, our communities, and we can lift up together.
As you know, April is Child Abuse Awareness Month, and we're here to destigmatize all the different things that people think when they need assistance. There's like shame and embarrassment, and there should never be shame and embarrassment from seeking assistance by organizations like this organization's, the Walnut Avenue Family and Women's Center, you know, and many other amazing organizations. Thank you for watching. We have so much more to share with you. Hopefully you are able to share these videos. And of course, we have the websites here in case you want to reach out to them. And just thank you all for tuning in, and look forward to the next one. Have a great day, everyone. I'm super pleased and excited to have with us here today David Brody with First 5 Santa Cruz County. How you doing, David?
I'm great, thank you.
Good to see you. And of course, we have the co-host with me with the Children's Network, Stephanie Barron Lu. How are you doing, Stephanie?
So grateful to be here and so excited to have our partners at First 5 here.
For sure, right? I mean, there's some good information I know that we're going to be extracting from David and just getting information out that's super important, right? I mean, a lot of these organizations exist and so many people don't know who they are, what they do. So we're going to have David give us a little bit of scoop. First of all, explain to me, what is the First Five organization?
Sure. First Five Santa Cruz County is a public commission, exists in Santa Cruz County. We're focused on supporting the healthy development of children, young children and their families, specifically children aged 0 through 5. And we do that in a range of ways, including some of the stuff I'm sure we're going to talk about today. And just a little background, we're part of a network of First Fives throughout the state. There's one in every one of our 58 counties, as well as a parent commission at the California state level.
So what's interesting about that is you talk about there's one in every county. And so grateful that you're here sharing it with us, because I don't think that a lot of people, your common folk here, know what First Five is. Stephanie, were you going to interject on that?
Yeah, I was going to say my earliest experience with First Five is the free books that we would get for our home or commercials on the television. And so knowing that this extensive network is something that is brought here at the local level, that we're able to feel both the advocacy push and the direct service pushes. And so again, just really grateful to help our public to really demystify what is it like to see the strength of First Five in their everyday life.
Thank you. Yeah. No, that's great to hear that you've experienced some of that. Some of that you experienced from our statewide commission. Probably most of it you did experience through programming that we either directly operate or we fund through community partners throughout the county.
So who is and who are the people that are contacting First Five Santa Cruz County?
Well, really, we're here for, as I said, any family with a child, really prenatal 0 through 5. And we want to support their health and development. And we want to make sure that we're doing that in an equitable way, too. So ensuring that all people in our county, all children in our county really experience the same level of resources and supports and those protective factors that we all need to ensure that kids, grow up happy and healthy and successful all the way into adulthood.
Excellent. Stephanie?
Yeah. And I know that you're also a father. And so I know that, you carry the perspective of what it's like as, a child, knowing that you need resources and I think that that's something that, we oftentimes forget, that our positionality really informs the work. And so I know that you are a champion for children, youth, and families across our county, both in your First Five role and in some of your other commission roles. Could you speak a little bit to just what could help other families to really demystify seeking help?
Yeah, I really appreciate the way you approach that because it is something that we really promote at First Five and through our various programs that support parents and families. And it's something that really connects to my own experience as a parent. A parent now of 2 teenagers who were, young children just a day ago, I'm pretty sure.
Was it, twins?
No, I have an 18 and a 16-year-old, but
that's close in age.
It goes fast, right? But yeah, my experience with my kids only reinforces the message that we try to share at First Five, and it's connecting to what you were saying a moment ago. And what that is that we all need help sometimes. There is no shame whatsoever in recognizing that parenting is a big job. It's the most rewarding experience you possibly are going to have in your entire life. And sometimes it's going to be the most challenging experience you're ever going to have in your life. And we all, as parents, and it's the people wrapped around the parents and the young children that we all love and support, we want to do it right, one thing I think about and I try to tell other folks is, look, hey, if you've had a bad parenting moment, if you've had a day that you're not proud of, okay, welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. Shake it off and focus on the parent that you want to be, the parent that you can be, and frankly, the parent that you are. And so that's what we try to reinforce through our various programs and also just through my life in Santa Cruz County, through my work, not just at First Five, but as a commissioner on the Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Commission, as a member of the Santa Cruz County Children's Fund Oversight Committee, and then the various just partnerships like the Children's Network and others. It's really just about creating this equitable, loving environment in our county where every parent knows that it's okay to reach out for support and that we have support to offer.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest part is also, as the state of California is really moving from mandated reporting to community supporting.
Right.
And First Five is such a huge part of really making sure that we have strong collaborative platforms so that families are, coming into a strong network of support and not falling through the cracks.
Right.
Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah. I mean, we know what parents need. And the first thing parents need is what they say they need. So the first thing we have to do is start where parents are at and listen to them. With that said, we also understand that there are some fundamental things that help ensure that children are going to be successful in the long run. Right? We talk about them as protective factors. Sometimes we have other words for them, but they're essentially, just things that folks need or have that will help them ensure success for their kids. They're things like parental resilience, like just the parent's ability to cope with stress in sometimes very challenging environments and experiences and times in our lives. It's things like knowledge of parenting skills, as well as knowledge of child development that can really help parents get through those tough periods, I guess, in supporting their children in their journey. It's about basic needs, frankly, like just concrete supports, income, housing, food, childcare that's high quality, not just so the parent can work, which is critically important, but also that the child can continue to develop and build beautiful and loving relationships with caregivers outside of the immediate home. And that's the other one I don't think I've mentioned, is just relationships. Adult relationships between each other are critical to all of our success and the success of our children. And then ultimately, all of that is helping our young kids develop that social emotional skill set, that ability to reason and understand their emotions, to regulate their emotions, and ultimately, to what we call, as kids get older, develop what we call executive function and that capacity to make good and safe choices in high school, as teenagers, and then further in life.
Interesting you say that, because our kids are always listening to what we say and what we do.
Right.
So, more kudos on that comment, because you were talking about, making sure that, we as parents conduct ourselves appropriately, because it's important.
Right.
The kids are like sponges, they're constantly just learning, and it's not always what we say, it's what we do.
Right.
It's how we act.
Exactly.
And, there's, and many times that goes through generations. Kids grow up seeing parents act a certain way towards each other, and then they think it's okay. And that keeps going over and over and over again. So, you had mentioned a word, and it's a very common word that we've had through various of these programs that we've done here. And that is, there should be no shame in seeking. Why do you think families feel shame or embarrassment when they seek resources?
I don't know. In some ways, I could just kind of speak to my own experience. It's hard. It's hard when you're dealing with a highly personal experience. We've had our challenges with our children, and sometimes those are very unique to your family. Sometimes they're very unique to one of the kids. And it's just, for whatever reason, often, not all the time, doesn't feel like a natural exercise to reach maybe beyond your very immediate family. And hopefully you even reaching to your immediate family is something you're comfortable with. So I don't know the answer exactly the why, but what we want to do is make it normal and make sure that everybody understands, like, hey, again, this is one of the most important, most challenging, difficult, and hopefully rewarding things you're ever going to do in your life. What else would you want to ask help for?
For sure.
And there is just no reason not to reach out for it. If you feel you need anything, just raise your hand. I joke with people in there's those old TV ads from Orchard Supply and Hardware, I think, where they show some poor guy's head under the sink and water spouting everywhere. He doesn't know what to do. He just raises his hand. The toilet's overflowing. You're looking at it. You're in panic. You don't know what to do. You just raise your hand. Now, that's just an ad to go get help at the hardware store. Well, guess what? If you can raise your hand to go get help at the hardware store, you can raise your hand to get help with raising your beautiful, amazing children. And it's all right.
Indeed, because there's no manual.
That's right.
There's no manual that I know of that says, here's how you raise your child. Because every child, as we know as parents, is different.
That's right.
And you can read all the manuals, and it's still the most humbling, hardest job, as you were saying.
Yeah.
And so something else that I'm really hearing you speak to is the fact that at the end of it, we're all just people, and we're trying to belong.
Sure.
We're people that are just trying to do the right thing. And when we mess up, we seek repair, or we seek the solution, but retreating into that isolation due to that shame or blame or, whatever those isms might be that are kind of keeping you from seeking support. I hope that this can destigmatize that, like, this is our first five. These are our organizations. These are our community leaders that are also parents, that are adults, that are service providers, educators, that are also doing the best that they can with the tools that they have. And we're also asking for help. We need our community to know to access us. We need our community to know that too.
Absolutely. And I want to back to your question and the point, some of the points that Stephanie's making is, the why. Well, I would guess that some of it is it's hard just to find the time. We are all so busy, so overwhelmed. And when you think about what you think that support might look like, it might feel like it looks like work, like it's hard, like another class I have to take after a whole day at work and making dinner for my kid. And that's all true. But what we also want to emphasize is, as you were saying, it's a human experience.
Yeah.
These opportunities to engage can actually be really fun and rewarding. Right. So it's not a negative, it's a plus. It's a yes and. A lot of the things that we emphasize in some of the parenting education work that we do, both in Stephanie's program and in the Triple P program that Yesenia is going to speak about, is we first and foremost just start with one of those protective factors I mentioned, adult relationships. Yeah. Like it is okay. In fact, it's more than okay. It's important that you focus on yourself and your emotional well-being. And if you're raising a child with a partner, that you're focusing on the relationship between the two of you. That is in the best interest of the child in the long run. And guess what? You're going to feel better because of it.
For sure.
Oh, that's so huge. Like we all do better when we feel better, and hopefully seeking out that resource might feel uncomfortable, right? Like you were mentioning, it's vulnerable and it will get better, right? Like this season will pass. And so get help, get support, reach out, and there's no wrong door, right? That's something that I know First Five is a big part of pushing that message of no wrong door approaches to reaching out for support.
Absolutely. 100%.
I think consistent with the message we've been saying is what's most important isn't First Five. It's not Triple P. It's not positive discipline caring community. It's not the other programs you've been talking to. It's about the parents and the family.
Yeah.
And so what I want parents and families to know is that you're a good parent. You're a good parent. Mm-hmm. And you're doing the best you possibly can. And like I said before, if there's something that happened that you're not proud of, welcome to the club. Shake it off and know that we're all here for you. We are a community that really, really, really loves your family, supports your children, and we want everyone to succeed. So just come with us.
Yeah. So that's a great message. Great message. David Brody with First Five Santa Cruz County. And of course, we have Stephanie Barron Lu, my co-host here with the Children's Network. So much great information. David, thank you so much for being with us here today.
My pleasure. Yeah. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you so much.
Really. And thank you, Stephanie, for being such a marvelous, amazing co-host.
Oh, and thank you. And First Five being such a strong part of the Children's Network. Thank you for getting out the digital tip sheet packets that will be available, as well as the physical copies that will be inviting our community of service providers, educators to help us disseminate. And so again, we couldn't do this work without our First Five partners. And so thank you again, David, for being here.
Thank you so much. And again, we do have some websites we can share.
Yeah, we're going to put them right here as we're speaking, and then we're also putting them on the post.
Okay.
But if there's one in particular that you want to tell us about right now, go for it.
Sure. So we have we'll have some others, but there's a new one that we just recently put up that's a collaboration with our health services, our human services agency, and a bunch of our community partners. And it's called Thrive by Five, and just has a real basic list of some parenting resources, including some home visiting programs that we haven't had a chance to talk about, but are really great assets in our community. So anyways, the website for that is thriveby5scc.org. That's THRIVEBY5scc.org. And I know my colleague's going to share some others, but I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much,
Thank
David.
You. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Robert.
All right, everyone, another great program. Again, super pleased and honored to have these wonderful human beings here sharing such great knowledge. And what David said is so true. It's like we've all been there as parents. There's times when we want to pull our hair out, because there's times when I want to pull my hair out. It's just like, did my kid really just do that? But there's a lot of great resources, and like David and Stephanie said, there's no manual that's like going to tell you this is how to be the perfect parent. We're learning many times as we go. I want to thank you all for watching this program. Keep tuning in. We have many more to share with you, and look forward to chatting with you guys all soon. And thanks again for watching. Hey everyone, Robert Aldana. Welcome to another Sunday Conversation. I am super proud and honored to have so many amazing people with us. We have so many great community leaders with various different organizations. As you may know, April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. Some people say Child Abuse Awareness Month. I happen to say both because we're really targeting both, right? We're targeting the awareness and the prevention of child abuse. And this particular organization we call Triple P. I'm going to introduce you Yesenia Gomez Carrillo with Triple P. How you doing, Yesenia?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. And with us, of course, is our co-host here with the Children's Network, Stephanie Barron Lu. How are you, Stephanie?
So happy to be here and so grateful to have an amazing opportunity to really create awareness or prevention, So thank you, Robert.
So, I see your Triple P events all over our events calendar. And it's really refreshing because of the topics and the content are always towards positive parenting and things because parenting, we just talked earlier with David Brody, how parenting cannot always be positive, right? It's got its challenges. I mean, I'm surprised I still have hair. Sometimes I want to pull it all out. So tell me, what is Triple P?
Yes. So Triple P is a positive parenting program.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, we have workshops, we have seminars, we have a variety of classes that will meet the parents where they're at. So parents are able to come into these are able to come into classes. And if they want more in-depth help, they're able to get that. So it really meets the parent where they're at. So if it's one-on-one, if it's brief, if it's just tip sheets or pocket guides, anything that a parent needs, we try to provide that for them.
Even ongoing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Yesenia, can you share how can families reach out? How can families gain access?
Yeah, so we have a lot of community partners that have our classes. So Community Bridges is one of our biggest partners. They have, their facilitators. They provide the classes. And you can go on our First 5 website under the Triple P. And we have monthly calendars there. And there we break it down into, the type of class. And parents are able to see, what class resonates with them, which one they want to choose and take. And then, on there, it tells you how to sign up and everything.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you're really working on a no wrong door approach, right? And so as you have, all these different various workshops are also 100% free for families, right?
Yes, they are. Yes. And yes, so Community Bridges is our biggest one, and everything is free and our resources are free. We have some pocket guides that are also free. So a lot of free resources. Mm-hmm.
So what's it like to attend a program like yours? And what can a parent expect when they contact you and start the process of opening our arms as parents and allowing someone else to give us a little guidance? Because I got to tell you, parents, sometimes we're like, hey, nobody's going to tell me how to raise my kid, right? Yes. But sometimes we do need somebody to tell us. What's it like contacting an organization like you?
Yes. So with us, again, we meet the family where they're at. Mm-hmm. So if they want a, brief, like, oh, I need help with this, we have our parenting pocket guide that helps with, how to handle tantrums, how to handle going shopping with your kid. If a parent comes to us wanting more in depth, then we have those one-on-one sessions. So it's really meeting them where they are. And Triple P is very much, we teach strategies. And that is, the parents can be like, I like that strategy. I'm going to use that. I'm going to take that with me. If not, then that's okay. So it's whatever strategy they like and resonate with, they can use at home.
I really love that. And I really appreciate, because parenting is so hard. It is the hardest job. And I know when, I was a young parent myself and stressed out student. And so when you're parenting from that place of urgency, and you really just need a strategy. And so, knowing that there's, the buffet of options, right? Mm-hmm. And knowing that, Triple P is evidence-based and has these really great free resources that you're able to just say, I don't have the time for a full class. Mm-hmm. Let me just get a couple key strategies. I need help right now.
Yes. And what I really like about Triple P and resonated a lot with is just that. I mean, our pocket guide is quality time was one of them. And for me, that meant my daughter comes to me, wants me to read her a book, and I'm busy, in the kitchen making food. I'm like, there's too much to do. She comes to me, wants me to read a book, and that's where, okay, I need to take the time. This can wait. I read her book, and then she's happy and content. And that alone, that quality time she knows that I'm going to be there for her. I'm going to help her when she needs me. And then, in the long run, that just builds that positive relationship with her.
And building out that sense of safety that we really need in our homes, our schools, our communities.
Yes.
Beautiful. Is there anything else about, really what advice or insight you can have for parents that maybe have never gone to a parenting class, or anything that you'd like to share from a parent perspective or from the Triple P perspective?
Yeah, I mean, as a parent, I know it is really hard to ask for help. It's very hard. And a part of that, I think, is, we're here to not tell you what to do. We're just that support. We are here to give you the information, give you strategies, and you can choose which ones you'd like. And we're just really there to be that support. And I think, as for myself as a parent, that is very valuable. And I do think that, it's just something that parents do need, is just to meet them where they're at and be able to, provide that support and that listening ear and being empathetic with them.
That's definitely a theme for all of our resources, right?
For sure. Because, like I said earlier, I mean, I was half joking when I talked about sometimes parents are saying, no one's going to tell me how to raise my kids. But you know what? There's a stigma behind any type of, whether it's counseling or just some resources, there's always that stigma, but it shouldn't be there. What would you say to parents who are like, this looks like a program, but I'm not sure if I feel comfortable doing this? What advice would you give to them?
Yeah, I mean, I would recommend them to, read up on our strategies, on our the information that is available, and see if it resonates with them. And then go for a class. It doesn't have to be a big commitment, just one class. You don't even have to stay there the whole time. Just really try it out and see if you like the information that is given.
Just getting there is half the battle, right?
Yes.
So it's like, just come.
So I want to thank you, Yesenia Gomez Carrillo with First Five Santa Cruz County. So much great information that you came here to share. And not only do I appreciate it, but all of us parents who are watching this and all of us community members who are watching it completely. I mean, we are extremely grateful to you. And of course, Stephanie Barron Lu, the co-host here of the Children's Network. Thank you, Stephanie, for all that you do and all your insight.
Thank you so much, Robert. And thank you so much, Yesenia. Really appreciate everyone just, hanging in there. Deep breaths. We've got this.
Yes, we do. We've got this. Thank you all for watching. We got more coming. So we got a lot of great human beings here and leaders, community leaders who are coming out and giving us a lot of great information, great advice, and just great resources. So keep watching, keep tuning in. Thank you so much for taking the time. Please, by all means, share this video, share the websites, the links that we're providing here on these posts. Share them because there's a lot of people out there who could use this great information. Thank you all for watching. Look forward to talking to you soon. Bye-bye, everyone.